So welcome to another Wargame review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're taking a look at Caesar! From PSC Games. This is a brand new, right? Two-player, you can play it solo, two-player, small, abstract style conflict game based around the conflict between Caesar and Pompey and the civil war they're in. So you've got... this is based off of, or a sequel to, Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, based off is probably not a good choice of words because it really is a very, while it uses some similar mechanics, it really is a very different feel,
the
layout.
The core play is very different, but it's you're drawing your tokens from a bag behind
so it
a screen
uses the same,
put them out. But that's pretty much, and it's short. Mm-hmm. But that is, you're right, that's pretty much where it ends.
Yeah.
That one has, these fixed tracks that you're trying to go and manipulate and get points with, and there's a multi-pendulum thing going on. This is much more of a area control game.
Yeah, it's battle over control of those provinces.
Yeah, you've got like an actual map of the Mediterranean that's divided up into provinces, and you're putting these influence tokens you're drawing from a bag on the borders between those two.
Mm-hmm.
And the tokens are divided into two, and so one side of the influence goes to one place and the other goes to the other. And so you've got, your influence tokens are interesting because you've got ones which are extremes, like a 1 and a 6, and you've got some that's in the middle, like a 2 and a 2 or a 3 and a 3, and each of those are then divided into the types of influence that they are. There's like swords, shields, and boats, and wilds.
Yeah.
And so...
There's probably a more technical term that we're not using
I'm
for those,
sure that there is.
That's what it says. It is on the map, right?
But yeah, you're matching the
Symbols.
symbol on your token to the space on the map, and then within that you're choosing which way to put it to influence which one of those regions are. And then you're looking for this timing of it as well, which is a neat little abstract thing that they've put in, where once whoever places the last kind of token in the border space around a province, you then kind of adjudicate that province. Mm-hmm. If you place the last thing, you get the little province bonus token and can do a cool thing, of which there's a bunch and those are randomly drawn. But then you adjudicate based on all of those influence markers on the borders. You count up the numbers that are kind of pointing into it, and whoever's got the most puts one of their control markers out. You control that province. And again, you get into, if I control this province, and then we're going to adjudicate the next one, and I'm going to win that, you start getting into these adjacencies. So if I control two provinces next to each other, then I get to place an influence marker in between those two. And basically all that does is it just puts out your influence markers quicker. So if you get like piecemeal, one here, one here, one here, one here, that's less strong than having 4 altogether.
Well, and frankly, I think if you're just going for ones, you're not going to win.
Yeah, it's much harder at least.
You've got to kind of hit the bank, either through controlling these Senate, is that what? Yeah, the Senate markers.
Yes.
Which allow you to place an extra marker under the Senate, because you control the Senate in that area, or daisy chaining them together so that you get to place an additional control marker out. You have 12 of those, so if you're trying to do them onesie at a time, you're just not going to be able to really build fast enough before your opponent is able to put 3 and 4 out.
And it's like, it's one of those things where if you kind of do one over here, one over here, one over here, all the spaces in between those now have 2 or 3 markers on the borders, and it only takes one to kind of
close them up.
Your opponent's going to Othello those and flip a whole bunch, and it's going to run away from you on the other side of things. And so the spatial aspect of this game is really, really cool.
Yeah, it is actually very different than Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg was tracks where you could place anywhere on those tracks, depending on the symbols that you had that matched the unit types, I think they were. But you didn't have to place in North Africa first, or the East Front, or the Med, or whatever. You could place anywhere, but it felt more structured. This one, man, I feel like it's a lot more freeform.
Yes.
You're trying to set the pattern for how you're going to win this by really carefully choosing where you're going to place.
Yes.
Because you never want to be that guy that sets up for your opponent to finish a space by placing a big influence, taking the benefit, and putting out control markers. You don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Sometimes you have to because you've
Yeah, or you do that because in them placing this will set up you to do that.
win the next
and so
one. Yeah.
you get into that line of thinking, which is enjoyable
Yeah.
in a game like
Yeah,
this.
so it to me this one's much more free form, but still structured. I mean, you've got 12 control markers you're trying to place out. The gameplay is fast-paced, back and forth, very strategic.
It really takes 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the game's subtitle is Seize Rome in 20 minutes, so it does exactly what it says on the box.
Absolutely it does.
But it has, I feel like I'm not just eating a snack. You know, it's a small box.
Yep.
I feel like there's some meat here. I enjoyed that immensely. It was strategic. I had a lot of tough choices to make. Made some errors.
But at the very end, we were sat here, like, in silence, poring over, like, what's the move?
If I place here, what's going to happen?
Yep.
And if you place, you know. And the other very cool thing about this whole system is you're drawing from a bag, and you're drawing different symbols. So, once again, the gladius, the trireme, the shield. What's the other one?
And it's the wild laurel.
You know, you have to match those. So if you don't have those pieces, you can't play in those certain areas. So that can also snowball really.
Yeah, if you've got bad pieces, you're like, oh.
Yeah, if you can't place, you just can't place. Frankly, you also can lose the game by not being able to place a piece. You've got to every turn be able to place something. So there's a lot of those choices, and I found myself, and I remember doing this in Blitzkrieg 2. Because you're drawing two pieces, you're really trying to decide, okay, this one's a little easier to place, this gladius. Because, there's 7 spots that are open. Yeah. I've got this trireme. That's a lot harder to place because there's only, 3 spaces left, or 2 spaces. So I found myself kind of thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead so that I don't get stuck. First couple times we played Blitzkrieg, I think I lost that game by not being able to place. I was too aggressive, too willy-nilly, and you really got to think it out. And I like that. Particularly in a small format, small box game that plays in 20 minutes.
Yes.
You play this, you feel like there's something to it.
Yeah, it's easy to get, like you said, if you've got the wrong pieces, things can get away from you real quick. Because you're like, I either can't play this in any meaningful way, or I can place it in a meaningful space, but my values are really bad.
Yeah, so I'm not going to win.
And so, then I'm going to get, jumped on, and it's going to go poorly.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Do you remember a game we played, this is very old, called Agamemnon?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
This
from Osprey
is very different, but
kind of a similar style.
Some of the way that I was thinking, that part of my brain with your spatial awareness and the adjacency things, the connections you're making, gave me some of that feeling from that. And that
was a great game, by the way.
Also a small abstract.
Yep.
And these kind of games have a spot in a lot of people's collections. You know, if you're a board gamer, this is a nice little historical game that's quick and easy to play. If you're a war gamer who's playing the big OCS games, this is something that you can dip into at the end of a big session.
Yeah.
There's no reason anyone would not have this on their shelf, basically.
Or like we did tonight, we've got a bigger game that we're going to play, and we were just like, let's play this and kind of warm up and really had a good time with it. The other really cool thing about this, to me, this design and concept, and this one is very much less abstract than Blitzkrieg. It still has abstractness.
Very much so.
But it's more... It actually represents something on the map. Whereas, remember, the other one is just tracks.
Yeah.
So this one, it's more. It represents the area, around Italy and the empire and.
Yeah, when you take a step back, you're like, ooh, all the red influence in Italy and Gallia. Blitzkrieg is a bit more.
Yeah, you can't really take a look at it.
It's like, I guess that campaign you kind of won because there's more of your colors, I guess.
Right.
It's a little bit more.
But to me, the thing that make these games really, really cool is there's a lot of mechanics that are kind of mashed together. Like this bag, you're drawing them out and you're trying to strategically decide where you're going. But the really best part is the province bonus tokens. Oh, yes. And they're listed on the back of your play aid. And this is a blind screen. You're trying to make sure.
You're also hiding your pieces, which is always fun.
Alexander doesn't have any boats. That's why you have the shield. Yep. But these bonus province tokens really, to me, are the element that kind of tips this to a really cool
Yes.
strategic game. And Blitzkrieg had it as well. You had the little tech,
Yeah.
like they were technologies. But man, these, take a whole new turn with the tactics one. I found myself going, okay, I need a second turn so I can really control this area. I got to get this one.
Yeah, if you can bag one of those and then leapfrog off
Yeah,
of that,
just-
and then you've got adjacency bonuses,
Yep.
and you just put out 4 tokens.
Yeah.
Like, you can get some
It's like
real
a killing
strong
blow.
stuff.
Might, where the cross spears, I can flip a token somewhere else, and I'm like, oh, you just placed a 6 Alexander in Gallia? No, you didn't.
Yeah, you just
I'm going
new
to take
to
this
that.
space, I'm going to flip that over, and it's nothing. Very cool. We did not play the Centurions or the Poison, which is kind of an expansion, but they're also in the mix. But the Wealth, which you draw another influence token, which, once again, having 2 or 3 of those in your play area.
I've drawn 2 of those. And
Okay.
So I have.
You have
I've got
more
4
options.
tokens.
Yep.
That is a huge advantage
Yeah.
just for options and what you can do.
Well, you can plan it out a little bit easier too, and you can also play with a little more reckless abandon when you have.
And you're just
4.
more flexible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then Senate, the Senate, probably the most important of those
Yes.
bonus tokens. They allow you to put out more of your control markers, and frankly, in the game we just played, that's why you won. You got 3 of those, and you kind of swiped them like out from under my nose because I was like, oh, that one's going to be, and it was like, oh crap, you got 2 turns in a row. And really swiped those.
And those, the first one you put 1 token on it. The second one you put 2. The third one you put 3. So now you've put out 6 extra markers.
Yeah.
And then you've got the control markers you put out. So
Yeah.
if you can do that and grab control of the Senate, it's very, very strong. But knowing that both of you being very hawkish about those ones, denying them or trying to jump on them both.
And I think that word hawkish is a very, a hawk sits up on the top of a pole and it kind of surveys the field, and when it sees its opportunity, it pounces. And that's what you're doing here.
Yeah.
I took the tact of trying to control adjacent areas, trying to get out more tokens that
harder
way.
to do than I thought it was going to be.
And I started out thinking, I'm going to go this route, and I'm going to pick up a Senate token if I could. I got 1, but I didn't get any more than that. Very hard to do that because it's very piece intensive.
Well, and I'm like I was looking down here in Asia and Egyptus, and the way the map is drawn is very sneaky at times.
It is,
where I'm
yeah.
like, oh, these 2 things aren't adjacent.
Yep.
And so like I was trying to get that to go, and I'm like, I physically just couldn't get them.
Yeah. So I like that there's a couple different ways you can really go about it. Although I really feel the reason I mentioned these bonus tokens is that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's being able to utilize those
to your advantage is huge.
That's where a huge part of the game is. What I'll do is I'll show you what this looks like and how it works, and then we'll wrap up with some final thoughts. So here's a look at the map. As you can see, you've got this. It's upside down. Let's see if you can you've got a map of the Mediterranean. So you've got Italy down here, you've got Greece, Syria, Egypt, and then down here we've got Spain and France. So what you're vying for is control of these regions, and everything's divided up by these very thick black lines, and the borders of each of these have these spaces, and the spaces have symbols in them. And so what you're looking to try and do is you're trying to influence the borders of these, and then once a province has all of its borders filled up, you adjudicate control for that region, and if it has a bonus token, you award that bonus token. So, to start the game, you have 2 of these influence tokens only. And you're going to play one, resolve its effects if there are any, and then you're going to draw another one from your bag. And you keep going, and then so the first person to place all of their control markers out wins the game. Or, if you're playing with the expansions and you're poisoning each other, you're losing these influence tokens. If you ever can't place one, you immediately lose the game and your opponent wins. But most of the time, you're probably going to win through these control markers. So what you look to do is you look to match your symbols. So this has 2 sides to it. It's got a 3 with a shield, and it has a 3 with a shield on it. So you can place it in one of these spaces that has a shield on it. because it's a 3 either side, it doesn't really matter which side it goes on. You're going to put 3 influence into Africa and 3 influence into Cyrene. However, if you have the one that has a 6 and a 0, you're going to place a 6 onto one side and a 0 onto the other. So, big decisions to be made. Which one of these do you want to influence, and which ones do you want to have nothing going into? So, after you also have ones which have like a little laurel on it. It's a wild that can go into one of these gladius spaces, into a little sea-born trireme space, or into one of these shield spaces. But again, you've got to decide: one going into Cyrene, or 3 going into Crete, or the other way around. You get to decide when you place that. The important part is that when you place the last influence token on the border of an area, we get to adjudicate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this here, and then we adjudicate this. If you're the person who places the last one and closes it off, you get the bonus token. Doesn't matter if you have the most influence in here, you get it because you closed it off. Then we count all of the influence that's going into it, and then that person places a control marker. So Caesar, who's red, has 1 and 0, and Pompey, who's blue, this is flipped over, they have nothing. But if they had this one up, they'd have 3. So even though Caesar placed this and got the bonus, Pompey's going to place a control marker, and they're going to get a control marker in there. And then you look at, do you control any adjacent regions? If you do, you place another control marker in this space. And so this doesn't have any game effects other than it just puts another one out. You consolidate your power in a larger region. So if you can get multiple adjacent regions, yeah, normally this is only 3 markers, but really you're putting out 5. You're creating this big, powerful kind of power base that you're using to then, take control of Rome, if you think about it in that way. Once the control's been adjudicated, and basically can't change after that, then you resolve your bonus token. So you can't flip this to stop someone gaining control. They gain control, then you flip something else on the board. Or this one, you now gain an influence token. So instead of having 2, you have 3. It means you've got a wider choice of options. It means you're more flexible strategically on the board. And it protects you from being poisoned if you're using the expansions. You've got more resources to lose, basically. The other really important one are these Senate ones, because if you place and you start controlling these Senate regions, so let's say we were going to place here. If I'm Pompey and I'm going to place here, I get the Senate bonus token, and this goes into my little play area here. So I'm going to place a control marker. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and Caesar only has 4. So I control this area, which is great, but I also get this Senate bonus token, which goes on my little track, and you can put a number of control markers under this equal to the number of Senate tokens you have. So my first one, I can put 1 under it. My second one, I can put 2. I don't have 2. I've used them all up. I immediately win, because as soon as you place your last control marker, you win. And so you can imagine, if I was going to put 2 under there, I've got 3 under there. If you're able to get a third one, you've got 6. That's half your control markers out. And you have to, and then the likelihood is that you already got a couple out on the board. This little mini set collection part is extremely strong. And it's something that, if you think about thematically, you're trying to control the populace, but you're also trying to control the Senate. If you can get influence in the Senate, you're going to be the dictator of Rome. It's just such a neat little abstracty piece of theme. I thought it was really, really neat and well done. But that's this game. It's going back and forth, trying to place in an area where, I'm going to place here and I'm going to control this area. Is this going to set my opponent up to be able to jump on some other area? And, do I have the right pieces? I've only got a shield and I've only got a trireme. But I desperately wanted to place here so we could adjudicate Egypt, if there was something there. So drawing the right pieces gives you, it's a little bit of randomness in there, and the setup of these bonus tokens is random, so your games won't look the same every time you play them, but what you're doing is very, very enjoyable, and it's this, where do you put guys out? Can you get adjacency? Can you place here to get this extra turn, to place another one, to close off another area, to give you another bonus, and maybe they're adjacent so I can put another little control token out. A really, really neat way of doing it, but a very, very simple game mechanically. Again, the rules in this game are this is the rules. How to play and how to win. You got some explanations of the pieces and some of the definitions, and then a deeper explanation of the bonuses, and then you get into the solo play and the expansions. But like, the core rules of this game are literally these 2 pages. It's just such a credit to the design. They can do something so simple, and and it's abstract, but do it and do it well. So what we'll do is we'll wrap up with a few final thoughts. So that was a look at the game. Mechanically very simple. The rules are literally like 2 pages.
Yeah.
There's a page for setup.
Well, there's 6 pages of rules, but including that setup and a lot of big drawings too.
It's like
maps.
Like this is all
set up in the board.
This is the rules.
Yeah, that's 2 pages.
Like that's how you play the game, right?
Yeah, it's pretty simple,
and I really like that. Yeah. I like it. Makes a change from some of these ones.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, let's play a game. It's got a historical theme put on it, but it's a nice little abstract. Lots of choices to make, and this is. This fits right along with that Blitzkrieg. They feel kind of the same niche in someone's collection, so to speak.
I've always been impressed, and I've never designed a game, so I don't know that I can really speak emphatically about it. But when you can design something like this with 2 to 3 pages of rules that makes me feel the way this game makes me feel when I'm playing it, that's impressive. We've played a lot of those little small format games. The crisis games from GMT, Fort Sumter, Red Flag Over Paris, very simple games, simple mechanics, kind of short rules, and man, those really make you think, and you're battling it out for 30 minutes. This is the same way here. Very small game, small format, not many pieces, not a lot of real, complex rules, but man, it makes you really feel it.
The complexity is in your thought process of making it work optimally.
Yeah.
And that's the... famously, game designers will say, it's easy to design a massive, complicated game. It's very hard to design a small, streamlined game.
A succinct game,
it's getting all the fat cut off and making it still work in this very, 2 or 3 pages rules format. And for it to work as well as it does.
Yeah.
I had a great time with this.
And I think the other thing I really like about these smaller format games is this is something my wife will play with me.
Yes.
I played Fort Sumter a lot with her. Once we're kind of done with Red Flag Over Paris, I want to try that with her. But this is another one. I want to try it with her because she doesn't really love games. Well, that's not true. She loves Phase 10 and what are the other games?
Skip
5
Bow.
Crown, Skip Bow. Because they can talk. Play for 2 hours and they can talk the whole time. We don't really want to talk. We just want to play and think it out.
They've talked for 2 hours and played like 2 rounds.
Yeah. They also like dominoes. But, this is something she can get into with a little bit of strategy. There's a lot of thought to it, a lot of decisions, and it makes it an interesting experience. When I've thrown a game out like this, like I said, like Fort Sumter, when I threw that out and she played it, I was kind of like, is she gonna like it? And I always know when she's like, okay, let's play again. Because it bit her, it got her, it caught her. This is something that's going to catch people.
Yeah.
Young gamers, people that don't even really like gaming. And let's not kid ourselves. This really isn't necessarily a war game. This is historically themed area control game. But I don't want to get into the argument of what a war game is or isn't. But it's just a very well designed, fast playing, cool mini game.
The box says 14 plus. I would kind of toss that out the window. I think you could play this with a number of younger people than that.
As long as they can put 2 and 2 together and understand, I do this is what happens. And that's sometimes the difficulty with younger gamers. But a great little game, a great follow-up to Blitzkrieg.
And everyone's going to ask, which one?
And we asked that same question
because I know that's what the YouTube comments will be full of. Oh, I can only get one. Which one do I get?
Yeah, I just think they're so different, yet similar that they're really a different experience.
Yeah.
Not only the period, World War II versus ancient Roman,
but what you're actually doing on the board is
totally
quite
different. Yeah, it's quite different.
So I would. There's no reason you can't have both in your collection.
No,
I would definitely say
$30 or $35. It's not like these are...
it's not like I didn't know what this was going to be, so I was worried they were just going to reskin Blitzkrieg.
Yes,
that could not be further from the truth.
No,
the gameplay is almost entirely different with what you're doing. You know,
Yeah.
there's beats and things that might feel familiar, but other than that, totally different game.
Yeah, different experience, and I think that once again that qualifies my statement. I think you can have both these on your. Now, if you ask me which did I prefer and really enjoy the most, I really liked this one. I really did, and the more we talk about it and think about it,
but is that recency bias? I think I might prefer this one because I like the area control and the spatial visual aspect of it as well. When I place a piece, it turning it either way, where I'm going to put that, and it's you getting the Othello effect where you're like, boop, and then you can do this, and you can do this. I really like that stuff. Did you ever play that game when you were a kid where you had like a grid of dots and you had to draw the lines?
Oh yeah.
So it's the same. Like that.
It's the same thing. You're trying to draw a line here so that 1 out of 4 boxes is complete, and then the guy's going to draw the other one on the other side of the board until it just starts getting to that point where it's like, oh, I have to draw this one,
and then you go. I get that same feeling from this.
There is
I
no
really
doubt.
Enjoyed that.
What is that game called?
Does anyone know?
Boxes, lines,
dots and lines,
connecting lines. Yeah, who knows? But that's probably one of the oldest games in the history of the world. But yeah, you're right. It really gives. And Agamemnon gave, I think, a similar feel.
Style, yeah.
That's from Osprey Publishing. That came out, I think, in 2016. We really enjoyed that one.
That was
very chess-like, but similar.
But yeah, I think it's like they're like this, but I think maybe this one.
I would tend to agree with you, and I know I didn't say that. That's not what I thought during the plays.
Blitzkrieg is also very good.
Oh, there's no doubt. Part of the thing I like about Blitzkrieg so much is that track concept where it is. I'm trying to sneak it in and place 2 pieces on this track and finish it out. Here, you don't quite have that, but you do. It's just in a different way.
It's a very different format.
It's kind of the same thing.
Tensions.
They're both great.
The cool thing about Blitzkrieg is that almost everything you place out, you get something out of it.
That's true.
A lot of the spaces have bonuses, or I'm putting this to set myself immediately up for this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They're both
really good.
Yes.
They're just fun, light, quick playing games. Period. You can take this on vacation.
Yes, it's a very small box.
Yeah.
And the reality is if you didn't even have space for this, you can pack this up in a little bag.
In a Ziploc.
Stick it in your suitcase if you were that desperate.
I almost think I like this one better, but I do think both of them are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, these do exactly what they're intended to do and do them very, very well. I think Blitzkrieg was extremely well received, and I think this will be also by all those same people.
Yeah.
And maybe more because, well, I don't know about that. Ancients maybe not be like the coolest theme of all time.
Yeah.
But like, this is a great. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's a great game.
This is a really nice way to do abstract ancients. That's quick to play, and anyone can do it.
Yeah.
So,
one other comment. We have talked about doing a video kind of these small hitters.
Yeah.
And we have several of them. 13 Days, 13 Minutes, Iron Curtain. And these 2 are going to be included in that because they give you the same quick hitting, quick playing, fun. So I look forward to doing that.
Yes. Yeah, and that's coming in the future. Soon?
Yeah, we got to play a couple more of those, but
this is Caesar! From PSC Games. Check this out if you're interested. Big thumbs up from me if this is the kind of game that you like. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.